Am I the asshole for telling my aunt she's similar to my mother, and then embarrassing her by proving it? The only context you really need is that my mom is considered by most, if not all, of her relatives, to be irreparably narcissistic. During almost all trips I'm often forced to act as a mediator between her and her siblings. Which has led to me getting really close with my aunts and uncles on her side. It was super late one night, and I, M22, sat with my aunts and uncles, 30-45. My mom is the eldest of 6 and had kids before them, so once I hit 20 they mostly stopped seeing me as one of the younger generation, instead more as a younger brother, in their words. We were all a bit tipsy and one of my aunts, F45, asks me which one of them I think is most like my mom. I initially told them none of them were. After some convincing and assuring that nobody would be offended and that it's most alike and not actually the same, I eventually caved, telling the person who asked me that I think if anyone she was probably most like my mom. She immediately got offended and defensive. I assured her the only reason I say that is because she seems like the kind of person who would get angry if they were proven wrong. She responds that she doesn't have an issue with learning. I ask her what would happen if I were to correct her in a game of trivia if we were on the same team. Referencing a situation that had happened earlier that day where I had told her the capital of Iceland was Reykjavik instead of Nuuk. And during the game she went from 0-100 claiming I was the most disrespectful little shit she'd ever met. She goes bright red and starts yelling about how that situation was different because I wasn't simply correcting her, I was insulting her intelligence. I point out how I had said it bluntly and didn't think I had to be gentle with adults when telling adults when they're wrong. This is where I think I probably should have stopped poking the bear. She snaps back asking if I'm implying she isn't an adult, to which I said, no, I'm just proving that you get mad when you're proven wrong. I then turned to my aunts and uncles who were thoroughly enjoying the show and said, jury, may I present Exhibit 8, my aunt's name, getting angry because she was proven wrong. They all laughed and my aunt instantly got up, said, you all can eat dirt, turned to me and said, I hope there's glass in your drink, and then left. Once she left I began to feel like I had stirred shit. I knew that she didn't like being corrected and was still butthurt about the situation from earlier. I do completely recognize that in poking for a reaction, even as a joke, I was definitely aware that the interaction wouldn't end well. So I probably should have ended it instead of letting it grow the way it did. She was also clearly the most drunk out of us all. My aunts and uncles assured me that I was just making fun of her and she shouldn't have gotten so offended, but I feel it was still kind of my fault for poking a drunk bear. This was never going to go well when someone asked such an asinine question. My mom is a total asshole. Hey, which one of us is most like your asshole mom? Was never going to go well. It's spelled Reykjavik, sorry. And not the asshole, you just proved a point and your aunt couldn't handle the truth, even when she asked for it explicitly. Not the asshole. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. Not the asshole, she asked a question and you answered and then challenged you by asking for evidence. She shouldn't have asked a question she didn't want to hear a response to. You were even assured that nobody would get upset by your answer. Sounds to me like she probably knew what you would say but not how you chose to say it. Important question though. How much drunker than everyone was she and how drunk were you? If you were pretty much sober and she was blabbering about then I revoke my answer and you become the asshole. I'm delighted it was the person who asked. Asking the initial question to point and laugh at someone is in and of itself narcissistic behavior. Her question was the only example you needed. By the way, playing mediator will only continue to bite you back. Not the asshole. I absolutely can't stand when people stir the pot for their own selfish reasons. Am I the asshole for the toll debt of my ex-roommate? My ex-roommate and I did not end on good terms. We were best friends, and I was looking to move out on my own. When she suddenly lost her roommate, she asked me to move in with her. I told her I didn't like her area and that I was looking elsewhere. Then, she decided to move out of her place and rent something with me instead. I agreed because we were very good friends, and the rent would be cheaper. However, I made it clear that she needed to commit to the lease. 3 months into the lease, she suddenly left without saying anything. Of course, I was upset. I had to find a new roommate. A few months later, she apologized, and I accepted her apology. During this time, she explained the reason she left, admitted it was her fault, and promised that this reason wouldn't get in the way of our friendship. She also promised that whenever we met up, she wouldn't bring this reason into the picture. That turned out to be a lie. Many of the things she promised not to do to rebuild our friendship, she did anyway, and I eventually decided to remove her from my friend group. Throughout this time, I repeatedly asked her to change her address, and I gave her mail. When she finally crossed a line I couldn't tolerate, I just started forwarding her mail to her. Now, a year later, The mail I forwarded never reached her because she never updated her address, and her toll fines accumulated to a pretty high amount. My ex-roommate blames me because she didn't get her mail and says she's going to press charges against me. I do feel bad, but she left that address over a year ago. I never felt it was my responsibility to manage her mail, and I simply didn't want any more contact with her. Am I the asshole? Because I forwarded her mail instead of text her and let her know I was still receiving her mail? Oh hell no, not the asshole. All of this was entirely her doing. She moved, she didn't update her address, she's the one who got the fines. Good luck to her pressing charges. What's the charge? Failing to hand deliver her mail. You clearly made the right decision in getting her out of your life. Not the asshole. If you ever are asked to forward mail like this from a person who you don't like, just have it be returned with, not at this address, return to sender. Means they can't claim to have lived there when they have not. Not the asshole. Her mail not reaching her is her fault. 1. She chose to move. 2. She failed to change her address. 3. She accumulated the tolls and didn't pay them. Not the asshole, she is an adult. She is responsible for having a reliable address for government mail and bills. You're not her mother, caretaker, or even her friend. She sounds completely entitled. Not the asshole. This means she also didn't update her license, registration, I think, not only her mailing address. Absolutely not your fault. It's her adult responsibility to manage these things, not yours or anyone else's. She can try to press charges, but she won't get far. Wow, your ex-roommate is toxic and manipulative. You seem genuinely and completely unaware. You need to find your inner monster, and figure out when to appropriately release it. I sense your ex-roommate knows you have no inner monster. You're a nice person to everyone, and is literally taking advantage of this fact. Your ex needs to take some personal responsibility, but based on what I know she will likely do this again, but to someone else. Cut ties. Stop responding. And find your boundaries without boundaries, and without an inner monster. I'm sad to say that you're just a doormat and everyone sees it. Stop lying down. Get up. Am I the asshole for not letting my wife's family stay at our house for a few extra months? So my wife's family came here for a better life from another country and they were staying at our house. It's a family of 5 and our house isn't the biggest and only has 1 bathroom, so that's 7 people in the house when it was only just 2. We gave them 120 days to find a job and a place for themselves. They all found jobs but they couldn't find an actual place to stay, so they are renting bedrooms and now upset with us. It's like they weren't even trying to find a place to stay. It seemed as if they got too comfortable. If they were looking they would have asked me for help, but they asked me maybe once, but that's about it. They weren't proactive about it at all and now they are mad at us. I told my wife they had to leave and now everyone is upset with me. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Her family should have prepared for the fact that they might not be able to find a place to stay and come up with a backup plan. They knew your terms up front and accepted it. There was nothing said that they'd only have to leave if they found a place they really wanted to go to. No good deed goes unpunished, but let them make you out to be the villain as long as you get your space back. Not the asshole. 120 days is more than enough time. Not the asshole. You were clear that they had 120 days from the start. This wasn't an open-ended invitation to stay as long as you want. Not the asshole. You're a lot nicer than my husband and I would be. We would never let anyone live with us for any reason. Good for you for letting your wife's family stay with you, but they need to realize you're not obligated to help them at all. It sounds like they got too comfy at your place and overstayed their welcome. I hope your wife is backing you up on this. If she isn't, tell her to go stay with them instead. What's your wife have to say about all of this? She better be backing you up. And telling them off for talking bad about you when you've kindly let them live with up until now. Not the asshole. 120 days is 4 months. That's long enough. Renting bedrooms is an option for a way to live until they find a house they want. I'm not sure what they were expecting. Am I the asshole? Navy showers at parents' house. Am I the asshole? Navy shower edition. I, 33F, am married to my husband, 42M. We have 2 young boys under 5 and live out of state from my parents. It's about a 3-hour drive to their house and we visit fairly often. They have a larger home in a beautiful neighborhood and they have very well-paying jobs. Since we have young kids, we often stay for the whole weekend. My dad, 58M, is ex-military and grew up taking Navy showers, as he calls them. My grandfather always made my dad and his brothers as well as anyone else who stayed at their house take them as well. It's essentially a regular shower except you turn the water off when you're soaping yourself up and shampooing your hair. So you'll turn the water on to start the shower, then turn the water off to soap up and shampoo your hair, and then turn the water back on to rinse off. My grandfather always said it saved tons of water and was efficient. Growing up, I always thought it was ridiculous because it just meant you were standing there freezing while the water was off for half your shower. My dad always rolled his eyes over it too. Just this past weekend though, he told my husband and I that we needed to start taking Navy showers when we visited. He said my husband takes too long of a shower while he's there and it's wasting water, so he wants us both to do them. He and my mom both shower that way every day because he believes it saves water and is better for their septic system. It should be noted that my husband is not taking long, luxurious showers for fun. He is balding and shaves his head in the shower every morning to prevent stubble. His showers are roughly 20 minutes long, and again, it's because he has to shave his head. Anyway, my dad told us this and we both politely said okay. However, later in the day he brought it up again and I told him I thought it was a little ridiculous to stand in a freezing shower without water just to save, at most, 2 minutes worth of water. Not to mention my husband would be turning the water on and off every time he needed to rinse his razor. My dad just repeated that we, but especially my husband, takes too long of a shower. He claims my husband takes 30–45 minute showers while he's there. I explained that my husband has never taken that long of a shower and that it's a little weird to be monitoring the length of our showers. I told him that it makes us both, but especially my husband, feel awkward and we both feel like we are being judged. He wouldn't budge and just repeated he wanted us to shower that way while at his house because he believed it was better. We, of course, respected what he said and did the Navy showers this weekend, but am I the asshole or is it actually a ridiculous request? It should also be noted that we all live in the Midwest and it was 12 degrees out this weekend with snow and they keep their house at 67 in the winter, so standing in a shower when you're completely wet without the water running really sucks. My parents are well off, so it's not a money issue either. Edit. My husband and I both respect my dad a lot and will absolutely follow the baby shower rule when we are there. I'm actually very close with my dad and he and I have always had a great relationship. Edit 2. I know 20 minutes isn't a quick shower. I take about 5-minute showers myself. Dad, this is how normal people shower. If you want us to visit you, we need to be able to take regular showers. We will give you $20 each time we visit to go toward your water bill. $20 is more than enough. If it's not about the money, then it's about control. I'm not a child and you will not control my showers. If I can't shower like I need to, we will not stay with you or visit you ever again. We aren't taking Navy showers. Not at your house nor anywhere else. Not the asshole. Stop visiting, or stay in a hotel. Considering that your father is well off, his demand makes him an asshole. If he asks why you aren't visiting or are staying in a hotel, tell him, because you're a shitty host. Not the asshole, and this is a ridiculous rule for well-off people to impose on house guests. If it were me, I wouldn't continue to stay at their home. It sounds more like an issue of control than of economy. Having said that, I will add that a man taking a 20-minute shower daily because he has to shave his head in the shower is beyond ridiculous to me. Shave your head at the sink and take the 5–10 minute non-Navy shower that other average humans do. 20 minutes isn't a quick shower. I seem to be in the minority, but 20-minute showers are excessively long and water is a resource. Your husband doesn't have to shave his head in the shower. That's adding an immense amount of water to usage. Having said that, I live on tank water in Australia. My husband shaves his head at the sink. When he shaves his face has a handy mirror. Then he takes his shower which gets his head rinsed off. No need to run the water for 20 minutes. That is excessive. That said, if you don't like your parents' house rules, don't stay at their house. Nah.